We should be live on the internet. We should have audio. Twitch isn't working on my tablet, so can I check? No.
Oh,
But
uh,
I think we're probably good.
we
Uh,
should be okay.
yeah, because the stream was working, so people should be able to see us. They should be able to hear us all right. If you can't, say something in chat, I suppose, because I can't see any of my own video. So you just live listen. I got this technology stuff down. I'm great at this. Nothing has ever gone wrong on any of my streams. But hey, everybody, welcome to Intrigue in the Ivory Kingdoms on the Greyhawk channel. This is a BX Dungeons and Dragons game that will be airing every Saturday night this fall at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Lex, I'm the DM. You may recognize me from the game I did over the summer where I also ran a BX D&D game. I now have a new and equally delightful cast of people who I am extremely happy to be working with for this show. And yeah, okay, cool. People are saying they hear me. Very nice. This little lowdown on BX, in case you don't know, stands for Basic Expert. It is the rule system that was put out in 1981 for Dungeons and Dragons alongside Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it was supposed to meant to be like the introductory rule set for people. It's a lot more simplistic, boiled down, and we will basically be playing it straight. The only thing we are changing is we are changing Thaco and Descending Armor class to base attack bonus and Ascending Armor class because Thaco is the devil, and I won't use it. It's really horrible and bad.
I don't know what those words mean, but okay.
What is this Thaco you speak of?
And you'll never have to. That's just be happy about that. So, before we get any farther into it, I've got to talk about all the great things about the Greyhawk channel and all of our fantastic sponsors. So let's transition to a different slide. Hey, special thanks. So yeah, I want to take a moment to thank all these great sponsors. First and foremost, we have our Patreon supporters and Twitch subscribers. If you are one of those people, wow, thank you so much. You make the Greyhawk channel happen. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to do this cool stuff. I wouldn't be able to be here. So really appreciate it. Next up, we have Roll20. The Greyhawk channel is officially supported by Roll20. They are a virtual tabletop. You can go to roll20.net and use that magnificent tool. They have you can import a battle map, you can have tokens, you can move stuff around the screen. They have a dice roller built in, character sheets for all sorts of different kinds of RPGs. They're integrated and it's all free. However, if you want access to special cool additional features such as dynamic lighting and other such things, you can pay a monthly subscription and get a hold of that at once again roll20.net. Up next, if you were thinking, hey, I was going to use Roll20 but I don't have any maps to import into it, well, don't worry, because I also have an answer to that. You can go over to Drive-Thru RPG and look up Heroic Maps. They are another sponsor of the Greyhawk channel, and they have a library of over 300 maps on there, and they are all really nice. If I wasn't so lazy, I would be using them. They're great. Up next, we have Tabletop Loot. You can go over to tabletoploot.com, enter Greyhawk in the coupon code box, and get 15% off your next dice order. That's a free 50% off dice just because I'm telling you, because you're watching the Greyhawk channel. Take advantage of it. Dice are great. Why not? And finally, last but not least, remember those Patreon supporters and Twitch subs I was talking about earlier? Hey, if you're one of them, did you know that you can get access to special stuff from the Greyhawk channel? If you go over to the Greyhawk channel's private Discord section, you could get coupon codes to ruinc.com and Cantrip Candles. So hey, if you're already given to Greyhawk, let them give back. And thanks again for all your support. Transitioning back to the slide with the players on it. Wow, here we are. Okay. Let's talk to our players. Oh, before we do, I should point out there is that black box up in the corner there. Katie, at KatieFace on Twitter, will be playing in this game. I am very excited for her to play in this game, but unfortunately this evening it is storming where she is, and internet has been knocked out in her area. A real big bummer, but hopefully we will see her soon with her 2 hit point character, which I'm so excited to kill them. It's gonna be great. But that said, let's talk about the people who are here, my amazing cast, and let's go around and have them tell you, the viewer, who they are and what kind of stuff they do on the internet. And who do I want to start with? Let's start with Josh.
Oh, sounds good. Hi, I'm Josh Reisted. I'm a host on a really awesome podcast called Detentions of Dragons, where we talk about bringing Dungeons and Dragons into the classroom. You can catch us on multiple different podcatchers, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. And also check me out on Twitter at Professor Olaf.
Very cool. All right, up next we have Cole.
Hi, my name is Cole Burkhart. My pronouns are they and he. I am a co-creator and producer of the Piece of Cake Podcasting Network. We are a network devoted to helping voice actors of color and other marginalized identities find their voice within the industry. I am also currently casting for a audio drama called Null and Void, and you can find out more information about that on our Twitter at Null and Void Pod.
Nice, very nice. Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I use he, him pronouns. I am also known as Whimsy Machine, where I make various role-playing games, such as 1200 Words, the zine podcast I just funded, which is going to be available soon on my store. Where's my store? It's whimsymachine.media/store, where you can buy physical copies of my books. And soon I'm going to move everything from the various Tabletop RPG, Gumroad, and itch.io sites that you can search for Whimsy Machine on and find it all in one convenient place.
Nice. Oh, that reminds me to plug my own self. You can go over to my Twitter at Dank Dungeons, which is up on the screen, and the pinned tweet has a link dump of all the places you can find my stuff. I have an actual play fantasy comedy show on YouTube. I write stuff for the DMs Guild, and there's also a Teespring store that I started during the last season of Greyhawk Channel stuff that has show merchandise in it. So you can actually get a poster for the show last season and a t-shirt for the show last season. And that same kind of stuff will be coming soon for this season's things. I'm just waiting on a little bit of art, and then that's going to happen. So, yeah, if you're interested in that old school BX aesthetic, which if you're watching on Twitch, you can see the border of this with like the old textured paper look. It's all kind of like that. Anyway... Whew, is there anything else to talk about before we play? I don't think so. I think that there's obviously a little bit of mystery as to what's going on with the characters, even to them. But because listen, in all the days leading up to this, I've just been fantastic at explaining things. So good at it. No one has had any questions. Everything's been very smooth. Especially learning this new rule system. Wow, everyone's just been totally on the ball.
It's fine.
Yeah. And so things are gonna go great. Get ready. Let's just jump into it. I'm gonna find my blurb, my document, my boxed text. Wow, which I'm not scrolled to. Here it is. The heavy double doors swing wide to you, and at first you see nothing. Only an unknown expanse of darkness. You hear the drone of a sitar echo out of the void. Then, in some distant alcove, a flame ignites, followed by another and another. Crackling into existence before you is a great hall the likes of which you have never seen. Rows upon rows of pillars, intricately carved with lifelike shapes of elephants, tigers, serpents, and monkeys. The animals seem to support a ceiling of dizzying heights and similar workmanship, all made from a polished crimson stone. Flitting between the pillars are figures dressed in multicolored silks. They pause only to light the fires that illuminate the room. Suddenly, as if coming into existence, 3 men stand before you, similarly dressed. Please follow us. The great Maharaja is finishing with another delegation. They will see you presently. You stand in a group of people at the entrance to the Endless Palace. A big old palace. It's really big. It's endless. And you are surrounded by members of different trade delegations from across the... Oh, I don't remember how cardinal directions work. The eastern area of Greyhawk, the Flaness, I believe it is pronounced. So that's like where Greyhawk, it's the free city of Greyhawk is, and a bunch of the other kingdoms are. And you are currently, along with all those delegates and merchants, in the kingdom of Jahind, which is a far-flung land to the southwest. I believe you have been hired by a merchant known as Gareth from Nyrond. He is looking to get some sweet deals on silks and sorcery from this land because it has just opened to trade. That was not an option at any point in the past. And you're there to kind of bodyguard, basically. I mean, he's never been to this land before. I don't believe many of you have, although some of you may have. And he just needs to make sure somebody's got his back. So why don't you guys take it away? What are you doing? How are you interacting with each other and the environment?
I guess I'm busy scanning the room, judging how many people are here, who has weapons, who does not, keeping an eye on the boss, kind of at the forefront of the group.
I am fully distracted by shiny things.
There are plenty of shiny things to be distracted by. Everyone here, especially these 3 people who have appeared in front of you, are very richly adorned. So I'm talking like gold and silver bracelets, rings, necklaces, nose piercings, ear piercings, like just lots of jewelry.
Cool. Any chance I get, I'm probably going to try and steal something.
Sure. Okay.
Steal their nose rings just out from underneath their nose.
Right.
Right from underneath their nose. And I am probably standing a foot or so back and keeping an eye on the situation.
Sure. Also, for those who did maybe not watch the last campaign, we have the main characters that these players are playing, but they also have, in most cases, retainers who are basically secondary characters for if their main is killed, which is very common. They can bring in a retainer and then continue playing, and we don't have to have them miss out on a whole lot of stuff. So your retainers, you can choose to have them back at a tavern of some sort in the city, or they can also be with you just sort of in the background, whichever you would prefer.
Should we describe our characters?
Your side characters, you don't have to until you're like actually maining them.
Or whichever one we're playing right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you didn't describe the players your characters you're playing right now. I'm great at this, guys. Let's do that real quick. Oh, and I can describe some other people to you after you do that.
Cool. I'll go.
Yeah.
Sure. So my character's name is Arwen. He is a Kenku thief. Arwen is real short, maybe like 4 foot, 4.5. This dark black, jet black feathers. Arwen also has 2 sprigs of mistletoe kind of tucked up behind his like ear. Birds don't have ears, but Kenkus have like kind of anatomy for it, but he's got twigs stuck in so they kind of point up like horns. He's in a like tan, darkish robe, and is just like has a whole bunch of pockets are filled to the brim with shit he's stolen.
And where's Arwen from?
Arwen is originally technically from the Underdark.
Okay.
He escaped from the Underdark and has been kind of just traveling all over trying to find odd jobs here and there.
Cool. All right, yeah. So Taylor, what tell us what Corville looks like.
Corville is a human, just like a middle to youngish human man, and he is currently in full plate mail that is emblazoned with a little fire symbol and a little that's the Firefox logo. Let's go with it.
Do it.
I was like, these are two visual elements I want to combine. I will surely be the first. And he has a mace and a satchel that has books and notes in it. It is clear that the satchel is far more readily at hand. And he is pensive and vaguely gaunt. I don't know. I have a mood board. It has a lot of very handsome models that let's say my character looks like.
Sure. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to look at that mood board. I meant to. It's my bad. But I have this vision of Corville just walking up to people being like, listen, Firefox is way better than Chrome because it has much better, it's much better about privacy. The extensions are better. You should really convert.
My really does respect the privacy of all those who worship.
Have you heard the good word of our Lord Firefox?
Yeah. Mozilla, brought to us by Mozilla. Josh.
Oh, all right. So I am playing a character known as Ulfric, Briar's son, from Neodra of the Kingdom of Kaolan. I think that's how it is.
Sounds right.
All right. Fifth son of Lord Briar, kind of a last in a long line of succession. Instead of wishing to be, shunted to the guard tower or to, protecting the clergy, decided to take what he really valued from the house and go off adventuring. So, yeah. 6'2", big guy, brimming with weapons, likes to fight, is a fighter.
Gareth, your employer is gross. Let's see, he's rotund, pasty, got scraggly yellow hair, real bad goatee. Like, just shave that thing off. It's not doing you any favors. And runs a business called Gareth's Emporium, in which he travels around selling magical wares. He wanted to get in on this because he has heard tale of many fine craftsmen of magical items in Jahind, and he was like, "Ooh, gotta get in on the ground floor of that. That's some good stuff." So he is very, very excited that this place seems pseudo-magical just from the get-go, at least the way that these three people have appeared in front of him. And he's like, this is great. He turns back to you, he's like, everything, this is going good. Apparently, the Maharaja is just finishing up talking to someone, so we'll be able to have an audience really soon. This is going to be fantastic. Come on, let's go. He's into it.
Come on, let's go.
Oh, all right. Just still scanning.
There's a lot of the people who are coming in to the building with you are other merchants and nobles with their bodyguards. You could, make me a wisdom ability check. Roll 1d20, roll under your wisdom score.
All right. I rolled a 15. My wisdom score is an 8.
Oh, I see. Well, you're looking around. Wow, this craftsmanship is very intricate. There is like the closer you look, the more detail you can find. Like not only are these animals like very lifelike in their craftsmanship in the pillars, but even the animals are adorned with like, or at least crafted to look as if they are adorned with like fine silks and jewelry and all this stuff. And it's just the closer in you look, the more detail you find. It's incredible.
There's certainly a lot to be learned and seen and gleaned, I guess, from here.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, follow the boss. Got it.
You hurry along through these halls. It just seems like so this isn't just a straight pillared hall. This is like a there was an analogy I had and I can't remember what it was. Did anyone see The Fellowship of the Ring? I feel like you probably have. It's a cultural touchstone at this point.
Safe bet.
There's that point where they're running through the old dwarven kingdom. It was a Khazad-dûn, right?
Yes.
And there are just all those pillars that just stretch out in all directions. It's like that in terms of how massive it is. And it just like you can't see where the rooms end because it just goes off into darkness.
A chasm of columns.
Ooh, that's good. Should have written that. As you continue through, you see that there are other groups of people and not people that seem to be waiting in line here for an audience that have sort of gathered together. You notice one is a group of what look to be like monkey type people. They're dressed very nicely, pretty much everyone here is who seems to be native to this area are dressed like extremely opulently. And most of the merchants are also dressed nicely as well. It's just like pales in comparison. But these monkey people, more human monkeys. It's a weird way to think about that, but are standing upright. They're human-sized, and they have nice silks. They're nicely adorned, and so that's one group standing off to a side, talking in hushed tones to each other. Another is a group of they look more like warriors. Like they're well dressed. They're clearly from Jahind because they have sort of the darker complexion and straight black hair of people of the region, but they seem like, even though they're wearing nice outfits, it's like armor and weaponry is incorporated into them more. And one who appears to be the leader, who seems to be dressed the best, has this cape, this like really big cape that has this very intricate pattern, and sort of the closer you get to it, the more you think that kind of looks like the wings of a moth. And then the final group that really catches your eye is very strange. At the center is a large, like 12 or 15 foot tall humanoid, very heavy set, deep, like midnight blue skin, piercing yellow eyes, also very finely dressed, seem to be carrying multiple tomes with them. And the people who are with them are all veiled, but only half of their face is veiled. Otherwise, they look like pretty like normal humans, but it's just half of their face is veiled, and you can tell that like one of their hands is gloved.
Got the Michael Jackson look going on.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. And where are we in relation to them?
I mean, this is a big space, so they're sort of clustered in groups that are standing off to different sides of the hall, and you have just walked in down the center with all of these other sort of Greyhawk area trade delegation people who are starting to splinter off into their own groups because they're from different kingdoms and sort of have their own allegiances.
I want to I'm going to break off from the group, and I want to try and circle around and see if I can't like listen in on what the veiled group may be discussing.
Sure.
Is the expectation that, or like, is Garrett's expectation of us that we like toe close, or does he expect or assume that we might wander? Are we like,
You've spent uh, a couple weeks traveling with this guy, and if you've learned anything about him, it is that he is somewhat absent-minded. So he probably does want you to stay closer, but you could wander off and he probably wouldn't notice immediately.
Arwen takes advantage of that
Yeah.
a lot.
So you know that you have that advantage. But yeah, you want to go for the very tall, heavy set, blue skinned
Yes.
person and all the half veiled people.
Yeah, I want to go listen in on their convo and see if there's anything interesting.
Sure, give me that listen. In this it's listen at doors, but you can just
Yeah, and because I'm a thief, I have
I think you have 2 and 6.
yeah, it's a 2 and 6, so I have to roll
A 1 or a 2.
a 1 or a 2. Oh, cool! I rolled a 2.
Nice. Okay, you do hear. So you sort of position yourself behind a carved elephant head and are sort of poking out and listening intently to the conversation they're having, and they do not seem to notice you're there. And you hear in hushed tones, although it's interesting because the large figure is really big, obviously has very large vocal cords, but they still seem to be able to talk fairly quietly and are talking. The veiled figures seem to regard the larger figure as their leader. I think you catch a name. If I can find it in my notes, I'll tell you what it is. Shilpakar.
Just in height?
Shilpakar is what they refer to the large figure as. And you catch a snippet of the conversation, and they're saying, "Oh yes, there are so many who have come from distant lands to buy our wares. This could be very profitable. But do you think any of them would have word on a cure?" And the large figure says, "The combined knowledge of these nations, one of them must. There must be a way."
For a cure. Okay. I'll circle back around to the group.
So that is a few minutes that you're going off, getting in position, doing that. What are other people doing during that time?
I'm going to stick close to the boss, but I'd kind of like to just observe the warriors over there. I mean, being a warrior myself, would I have known anything about them? Can I, perceive any weaponry that I might be familiar to me?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I should also have you guys, everybody do. Everybody can make a general intelligence check ability roll for me. So roll under your intelligence score. Just want to see if you noticed a specific thing.
There we go. I have an 8 out of a 12. So rolled an 8. I have a 12.
Sure.
I rolled a 2 and my intelligence is 12.
I was going to say, I hope your intelligence isn't below 2.
Corville fails to notice?
Okay. Corville fails to notice, but Ulf, with your training on the battlefield, something about this large figure, this large blue figure that I had been talking about earlier, really seems familiar to you. And even though you're looking at them from a distance, you're like, man, why is that so familiar? Meanwhile, Arwen has actually snuck up close and gotten a much better look at them, and they're like, oh, I know. And you both sort of realize at the same time, this creature has the exact same build, though a different skin color, and is very differently presented than you're used to, but the exact same build as an ogre.
Arwen's done a puff up his feathers to make him look big and muscular, and he's done a
Sure.
Just a little bit out of sight.
But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there right away. And before we get to Ulf's thing, which is you're checking out the warriors over there. So I'm sorry, what did you say specifically you were doing?
I kind of like sizing up for a possible fight, or anything, when you look at somebody that you might go into battle. You're like, okay, what do they got? Swords, scimitars, blade weapons might be hidden where. Just kind of sizing them up.
Sure. You look them over, and I mean, they're not really trying to hide any of their weapons, but they're all carrying tulwars, which are curved blades. And they also have quivers of arrows. They have bows. It looks like they have some short-bladed weapons as well. Some of them have daggers, some of them have short swords. And most of them are wearing either plate mail or chain mail.
No. Okay. Alrighty. But otherwise, I'm sticking with the boss.
Sure. And what is Corville doing?
Corville will go ahead and take a loop. So these are the three groups that are already here kind of representing Jahend, and then we are one of many smaller groups filing into this room?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to get a sense of who else is here and what their intentions kind of seem to be. As in, I'm sorry, who else is coming with who the other outsiders are.
Sure. You recognize people from another royal delegation from Nyrond, a baron. Yeah, I want to say a baron and some of their retainers from Ernst, some merchants from a guild in Onwall, and also some merchants from the free city of Greyhawk itself.
And where are we based out of? Where's Garth?
Gareth is from Nyrond, but he is kind of a free agent because he's like a traveling merchant who deals in really expensive stuff.
I might actually have to take notes for this game.
Oh.
Nope, I don't remember those words that you've just said. I'm very bad at D&D lore, and I'm sorry.
That's why you always play characters with a low intelligence, so you never have to know what's going on.
You got an excuse. You're good. You know what? I'll give you a little bit of metagaming here behind the scenes. The regions of the people who are also showing up is important, but not nearly as important as the stuff I've already gone over, which is the sort of the groups of people that are from this area.
Okay. Cool. And then, yeah, reconvene.
All right. Does Arwen discuss any of what they've heard?
Not yet.
Okay. So you get back to Gareth, and he's like, he looks. He's like, I didn't even realize you stuck off, Arwen. Ooh, you're okay. There's a lot of that person is very big, and they point at the
very
ogre.
big, very big person.
And then and those people look very well armed. And those are, I mean, they're monkeys. I'm actually not very threatened by them. They seem quite nice. but
Arwen makes very softly, so not to draw attention, but Arwen does make the call of like a monkey.
Oh, sure.
Makes a bit of a monkey screech.
Sure. You see one of that delegation. They're sort of like looks over in your direction, though not directly at you. Seems a bit confused for a second, and then turns back to their friends.
Ulfric looks at Arwen. You speak their language? You speak monkey? This is something I did not know.
I do not know. This is something I do not know.
More than likely, I don't think this group is called monkeys. Considering that's what we call monkeys.
Yes.
And they're clearly a little bit different than just monkeys.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're dressed much better than most monkeys you've met.
Corville's also weighing in his head is like, Okay, so we're kind of acting like it's weird that there's a bunch of monkey people while we're talking about this with our bird friend.
The bird person friend.
Yes, that's. Speaking of which, is every he looks at Arwen and is everything all right? You look a little puffy, little agitated.
Big guy.
Oh, okay, yes, rather imposing, isn't it?
Big guy.
Yes. Anyway, let's stick with the boss.
Okay, so you wait a few minutes more, and you hear the opening, the creaking opening of a door somewhere in the distance, and then just the sort of heavy, quick footfalls coming towards you, and this voice that they look like, or it sounds like an accent that you'd expect from probably like around Greyhawk, like that region, and it's just this guy just comes around a corner, and he just looks so agitated, and he's just like, this was a mistake. It was a mistake coming here. These people do not know how to deal in trade. he just sort of storms past everyone with his two what looks like a kind of squirrely looking accountant following behind him, trying to gather up some papers and sort through them, and then a very bored looking bodyguard attempting to keep pace. And this guy is just mutters something else as he's walking past everyone. He's like they said they're gonna feed us later. The food better be good. At least this trip would be worth something. and as he's walking past, you see those three that had greeted you when you entered, and they say, "The Maharaja will see you now," and gesture for you to follow.
Let's go.
All right. You walk down, and it's odd because you you see this like endless expanse of pillars. That phrase that Josh said earlier that I've forgotten.
Chasm of columns.
There you go. this chasm of columns, and it seems like there isn't any entrances to any rooms. Like when you heard that door open and slam earlier, that was confusing to you because you were like, where was there a door to open? But as you're following these three people, you basically walk around a pillar and suddenly there is just a wall there with a very ornate door in it. And they open the door and gesture you inside into not a small chamber, but certainly smaller than you've seen thus far. Again, very nicely decorated. There are all these nice cabinets and different luxury items, like little statues and things made of silver and gold that are placed around, and these beaded curtains that hang around that might make the room look a little smaller than it actually is. And you can smell this smell of perfume in the air. And you see standing before you, resplendent in a flowing single-sleeved dress of yellow and purple silks, adorned at wrist and ankle, ear and neck with golden jewelry, long beard, oiled and perfumed, and adorned with turquoise makeup, is who you are presented as the great Maharaja, sovereign of all of the thousand kingdoms of Jahind, Razia.
Oh, have we noticed thus far the regional show of humiliation or show of greeting or show of respect?
Yeah.
It's usually a bow. Is
Okay.
It's, you get the feeling that it's actually more complicated than that, but it seems like they're cool with people who are foreign just bowing, and they're like, yeah, they get it enough. They're fine.
Specific angle of bowing.
Yeah, there's like a way that you move your head and like you arch your back, but they're like, they get it more or less.
Yeah. Corval gives it a good go.
Sure.
Arwen gives a deep, almost condescending bow.
Ulfric bows, as well.
Uh, Gareth seems to see that everyone else is bowing, and he's like, "Oh!" And then he also bows deeply to attempt to compensate for the fact that he was late on the draw there. And he says, "Oh, great, Maharaja! I have come to secure trade. I would like to hear the different goods that your great kingdoms can offer, and I have already drawn up several contracts." And the Maharaja sort of just is like, "Oh, excellent! Come, sit, have refreshment. We have tea." And sort of leads you to this little sitting area with those floor pillows. Oof, they're nice. They're very comfortable. At a very low table, and you get this tea is poured for you. That's like, the one of the people who seems to be a servant in the palace has just sort of been in the background as you're going to sit down, and they have tea and they're just pouring it from one glass to the other, like many times, and finally as you're sitting they seem to be finishing that up, and then they pour it into your glasses, and assuming you taste it.
Oh, I don't have a detect poison, do I? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll have the tea.
Sure. This is a very you're struck when you taste it, not by something bad, but how sweet it is. This is an extremely sweet mint chai tea, and it's just like, whoa! It's almost like a soda. It's so sweet, but it's good. And Gareth
Into it.
Yeah, Gareth for his part doesn't even like take notice of the whole ceremonial thing they're doing with the tea and serving it to everyone. He just sort of unrolls these long stretches of parchment. He's just like, this. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe like you do a lot of trading in magical items. I just want to know if you have specifically these kind of gemstones or spell scrolls. I could really use, if we could get some sort of deal on spell scrolls, that would be fantastic. And I have this contract, it lists all the stipulations and everything. And the Maharaja is just sort of looking it over with like a half smile. And they look back at Gareth, and as he's sort of talking, and then look back at you, and they say, "So what has brought you to this land?"
He addresses the three of us.
Yeah, clearly not talking to Gareth at all.
Good tea.
Thank you. It is my own recipe.
I'm following the cryptic messages of my own deity, and I feel like there's a lot to learn here.
Adventure. General adventure. Tea's not bad.
Tea's very good.
It's very good.
The Maharaja just sort of smiles again and says, "Well, there is no shortage of general adventure in the lands of Jahind. Though I would suppose, or I would hope, a bit less danger since I took over the mantle of rulership. And as for your god, we of this land have many gods. Perhaps you will find yours here."
Perhaps. Though I do not seek specifically a god, more the knowledge that they pass along. There are many, and each have their role.
And there are many ways that the gods can divine knowledge to us. They appear to us in many forms and speak to us in many ways.
That is one I have learned.
Gareth at this point is being like, what what is going on? And
I, mm, I don't have that high of charisma. Never mind.
I don't, but I'm gonna say something anyways. In the exact same voice of the gentleman we saw storm through earlier, Arwen's gonna go, there's no good trade. They don't know how to trade.
Razia, the Maharaja, sort of just laughs again and says, I am quickly discovering that the Flaness have a very, very different idea as to what it means to trade than the Jahind do. These, for instance, and they point at the reams of contracts that Gareth is like trying to point out clauses in and things. And they say, these, they offer every eventuality, everything that could possibly happen. But can you actually plan for everything? Is that possible? I would say no. Life is unpredictable. And so our agreements should be malleable. This was something I tried to explain to the gentleman that was in here previously, and they were not pleased, I'm sorry to say.
I reach over and begin rolling up the contract, handing them back to Gareth, and tucking them in a vest, and just patting them and say, "Put these away."
And Gareth is just like looking at what's going on. He's like, "What do you want? But if we don't sign,
what do you seek? What do you seek?"
He's just like, I think, I mean, could arcane spell scrolls, how would I go about doing that? And Razia just says, well, I can talk to, I'm forgetting the names of the different peoples that I created. This is a problem. This document is very long. Hold on one second while my brain catches up. Yes, I can talk to those of the Adish How. They provide all of the arcane magics that we deal in. You probably saw them outside. They were led by a large blue fellow, and many of them are wearing veils.
Silfikar. Yeah. Arwen echoes in the voice of one of the attendants.
Yes. Razia points at you and says, perceptive, yes. Silfikar is the leader. They run that city-state and are fine craftsmen in all manner of magical wares. And many of their people also scribe scrolls. I can discuss with them exactly what they would need. We could figure out a monetary arrangement, assuming that changes depending on the needs of the people, the season of the year, perhaps depending on crop yield, and a few other factors. But, like I said, things should be flexible. Verbal agreements, I find, are probably more useful than written ones.
Things that deal with honor and a man's or a person's word is greatly valued over scratches on contract and paper.
Razia points to you and they say, exactly. A promise is of the utmost, the highest thing that we can hold up here. When you write something down on paper, it can be burned, it can be ignored, or if someone wants to exploit it, they can find some loophole in the system. Intent is what is most important in agreements. That's what I feel. Intent is what is most important in trade. If I feel that you, and they point at Gareth, have pure intent, then I should like to do business with you. If I feel that you do not, then I am not interested. And Gareth, for his part, just sort of is like very confused.
Yeah. Gareth, remember, maybe we should go into what we have to offer.
Mhm. Arwen nudges him and goes, "You have pure intent."
He's like, yeah, yes, I do. I very much do. And he sort of tries to straighten out his gross hair. He's like, yes, oh, for sure. Definitely. The cut. Do we? I mean, I was going to negotiate a cut of profit, but and Razzie is like, sort of waves him away, and he's like, they're like, yeah, if you agree to give us a reasonable cut, then, and I feel I can trust you, then I feel that will work.
Can I ask Razia? In Arwen is going to repeat back to him in his voice. What do you seek? What are you seeking?
I seek to open Jahind to the outside world. We have been cut off for far too long. And to make good connections with other kingdoms of which we have had no dealings with. I want to build bonds.
In that, Ulfric would like to say, to expand my and our knowledge of your lands, there were two other groups out in the main hall. A series of warriors and a group that resembled monkeys.
Arwen does the monkey voice.
Who are they? Can you tell us of them? As we probably will be visiting your lands for some time, and will most likely encounter groups.
Yes, the monkeys are the Chipahau, and they are led by Bandar. They are a kingdom sequestered in the Bahut jungles. A very dangerous place, but they are a good and noble people.
And what was the name of their race species again?
They are known as the Chipahau, which I don't really care how you spell it.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me if it's just in your notes. And yeah. And their leader is Bandar.
What do they trade in, or do they serve a purpose or a function in your cities, societies?
The jungles encompass much of Jahind, and many need to travel through them when sending goods from either the lands of Abishau or from the groves of... Oh gosh, I gotta remember this one too. I wrote it in a different place. The groves of Rasham Keet. And the trip can be difficult sometimes, and occasionally beset by thieves or darker, more powerful things. I have tried my best to quell much of this after I took over, but Bandar and his people are in an agreement to guard much of the trade routes across Jahind.
Ah, very good.
So it's really in our best interest to become very close with them.
Very friendly. For certain. And we have had many good dealings with them in the past.
Yes, and the group of warriors.
Yes, the Savar.
Big guy.
They are from the groves of Rasham Keet. They deal in silk.
I nudge Gareth. There's who we should talk to next.
Gareth is like, oh yeah. And
Gareth, I swear to God.
Gareth is the worst.
He's the worst.
Fun fact, Gareth showed up in the last campaign because they ran across his traveling caravan, and he was also the worst. So
we're doing all the work here, buddy.
Yeah. So he Razia says, if you Merchant Gareth would be interested in spell scrolls, then I can discuss with the appropriate parties and bring you a verbal agreement by the end of the day. Does that sound amenable to you? And Gareth looks a little weirded out. I'm actually going to have... Who has a... Actually, no. Yeah, who has the highest charisma out of all of you?
I have a 12.
Uh, not me. I have a 9.
Sure.
I
Okay.
have a 7.
7. So the fighter with a 12. Roll me charisma and take a -4 circumstance bonus
Is
because
there a way to assist?
there isn't really, unfortunately. I'm kind of counting this as the group's roll. I just wanted to give it to the person who had the best score.
Because I could, Arwen can nudge Gareth and go, in the king's voice, a promise is a highly valued asset.
Yes. So yeah, what I was gonna say is you want to roll under your charisma, and you have a -4 circumstance bonus, basically for the role playing you guys have been doing over the course of this.
Can't find my camera. I rolled a 1.
Well, that's the best you could roll.
Hell yeah.
You knocked it out of the park. So
Net 1.
So Gareth is just like, he looks at you, he looks at the Maharaja, and he says, Razia, I would be honored to enter this promise with you. And the one time Gareth, in all the time you've known him, has pulled off a calm, eloquent phrase, and the Maharaja does a sort of slight bow and says, "Excellent. Now, the hour is growing late. It is just about time to be done with delegations, and it is time to eat, and it is time for..." And now, again, something from my notes that's like a word I don't remember. The Yak Shagana. Please, follow me. And you're being led out of this chamber, back into the main hall.
On the way out, can I want to, Arwen being the silly bird that he is, can I cut off some of the ropes of the beaded curtains? Because I want those beads.
Sure. I would say go ahead and... What do I want you to roll for that? I don't think any of your skills are applicable, are they?
Moves.
Actually, yeah, that would actually make sense. Move silently, because they sort of the beads like clink and twinkle like when they're rustled, right? So yeah, go for a move silently.
And so for that, I roll a percentage die, and I have to get under whatever my percentage is.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
So that number or less on a D%.
Okay, so I have to get a 30. Yeah, a 30 or less. Oh, that's good because I got a 16. So I do it.
Yeah. So you, on the way out, you just sort of very quietly, like you kind of stand in front of a curtain and put your hands behind yourself and just sort of cut a little bit.
Yep.
Slip it into your pocket. And as you file out into the room, we're going to take a quick break. So we're going to be breaking for like 10-15 minutes. And then we're going to be back with more of the premiere of Intrigue in the Ivory Kingdoms. Hope you folks in the audience are enjoying it so far. We're back. We're back live on the Greyhawk channel. Yeah. Hope everybody's been enjoying the game so far. Let me tell you, your boy just won an eBay auction. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to tweet about that later. But yeah, so this is, if you're just joining us, you're joining us halfway through. This is Intrigue in the Ivory Kingdoms, the fall BX D&D campaign. For those who aren't familiar, because I know a couple people entered chat or entered watching the game late and talked about in chat how they were wondering what rule system we're playing. And no, we're not playing 5th edition. We are playing BX, which is the rule system from 1981 that was published to be the introductory rule system for Dungeons & Dragons. And it was released alongside advanced D&D, sort of like, you know, you play BX, Basic Expert, first. And then if you're into it and you want to do higher level stuff or like do more complex stuff, you buy the advanced D&D book and then you play that. And apparently those two things were released side by side and like got updated and stuff throughout all of the 80s and into the early 90s before they dropped BX. But that's why Advanced Dungeons & Dragons is called Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, because there was a regular Dungeons & Dragons that it had to be the advanced version of. That's why it's called that. See? It makes sense. Oh, TSR. Some weird
You
marketing.
learn things here on the Greyhawk channel.
The more you know.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, let's get back into this game. We are adventuring. You have just had a successful trade meeting with Razia, the Great Maharaja of Jahind, a far-flung land to the southwest of Greyhawk. Very rarely traveled to by the people of the Flaness, which I feel like I've been saying all of these like Hindi words this entire time, and I'm sure I'm butchering like half of them, if not all of them, and I apologize for that. But I feel like the word that I actually am getting the most wrong is the Flaness word, and I keep meaning to look it up and be like, I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. And
I think you're hitting it on, because that was when I looked at it earlier. I was like, Flaness.
Yeah.
That's
To be honest, when I read the word flan, I laughed.
Why wouldn't you?
I'm like, I'm from a place named after a delicious dessert. I'm okay with it, but all right.
Let's see here. Oh, I will also point out, we're not doing it this session, but we will be doing it in future sessions, and my players would never know because the audio doesn't pipe through to them, but it will pipe through to the audience when I get it, the playlists figured out. But I am making background music playlists for this game. And another side thing, if you enjoyed the introductory song that we had in the starting soon thing, I actually wrote that for the campaign. And if I had time, I would have written a full soundtrack and then had that as background music, but I'm not, oof, that's too much. I can't do that. But anyway, you have been let out. You reconvene with all these groups of people, and they take you to another grand hall that, again, it's one of those things where they just like turn a corner and suddenly there's this grand archway that leads into another room that you're like, how was that there before? This doesn't make sense. And it leads into this grand hall that has again more of those floor cushions for seating and this really large domed ceiling. But one of the odd things about this dome ceiling that you notice is that it's actually not decorated. It's basically just like, it's more of a marble, like a red marble, but it's not, there's nothing carved into it. It's pretty much just a blank canvas. And considering the carving and intricacy and the whole rest of the palace, this seems odd to you, or just it sticks out to you. But they sit everybody down. There are low tables, and they begin bringing out a lot of food, a lot of what are they called? Tally plates, which is a big plate. At the center of it, there is naan bread and rice, some other kinds of bread as well. And then there are smaller bowls just around it, around that central thing, that's curry, chutney, all sorts of different kinds of variations on those two and other kinds of things.
Ooh.
And the whole deal is like you take some bread and you just sort of scoop the thing you want, and there's all sorts of flavor options ranging from sort of a generic kind of savory to a very spicy. And you also have your choice of like there's chicken stuff, there's lamb stuff, there's goat stuff, and there's a lot of vegetarian options as well. So that's everybody's sitting down, they're eating. The people that are native to that area seem fairly nonchalant about it. Some of the delegates and merchants, like Gareth is one of those people who's just like, and he's just sort of watching the way other people are eating it, and he's like, he's like scooping stuff on, and then he takes a bite. He's like, "Oh, that's so hot!"
I pour him a goblet or glass of goat's milk or milk of some sort and hand it to him.
And some of the people from Jahid just sort of chuckle at him, and he's like, it's my tongue is like going numb now. It's just, oh my gosh, it's so hot.
I want to find him a nice spoonful of the hottest thing, spice-wise, that he has probably ever tasted.
It's just, just tell him it's something else.
Yeah.
Sure. You're easily able to trick him, and he's just breaking out in a cold sweat. He goes pale. He's just like, I need to be excused, and he just like runs off. Out of the room.
He'll be fine by himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't need body.
Right. He'll be fine.
It will have to leave the system eventually.
Oof.
Oh no.
Corville's probably trying small amounts of as many different things as he can.
Yeah. Oh, there are nice like yogurt based dishes as well. It's a lot of good stuff. And it's all very, I mean, I guess if you're not from the area, you don't have a frame of reference of how good it is compared to the other Jahindi food. But it's good, even compared to other food of that area. It's very well made. But you're having that. There's also like at one of the central tables, like where the ogre is, someone has brought out this steamed, this like giant plate, right, that has this bed of rice on it that seems to be covered in maybe saffron or something, and sitting in the center of it is just like two goats that have been like roasted, and the ogre kind of gives a laugh and just sort of starts digging in, and it's just it's covered in all these spices and stuff, but it's just a lot of food. It's just like two whole animals that this guy is chowing down on. And let's see, who are you sitting near? I'm gonna roll randomly to find out. Okay, sure. You're sitting near one of the those warriors that seem to, what did I say? They are the Reshamkit, and as Gareth is running out, one of them sort of gives Ulf a shoulder nudge, and it's just like he's not used to the food around here. I take it.
Oh, his palate is a little not used to the spice. This is good though. This is very good.
Oh yes, the best. Try this. Try this chutney. Try this chutney.
Oh, certainly. Put scoops a little bit on.
And as you're scooping it on, he's like, "Yes, my people. It is a specialty dish of ours, and we are very happy that the palace makes it for us. It's a whole process making it. You have to find the right tree. You have to shake it. get some of the high branches down, strip off all the ants and the ant eggs, and then mash those ants and ant eggs up, and they have the best kick to them. It's just, it really gives a lot of body to it.
Ant eggs. Oh, well. Sounds good.
Yeah, no. It tastes great if you take it. Yeah, you take a bite of it and it's real good.
All who's in the military, I mean, he's eating camp food. I mean, this is 10 times better. And there were probably ants in that too, so it's like, oh, whatever.
Fun fact, that actually is a thing that I was watching a Gordon Ramsay video, and that's like that's a thing that he met some people who were making, and it looked really good.
Really?
Making it looked really gross, but the final product looked really good.
Protein.
Yeah. No, well, they said that. Yeah, it's very high in protein. He's talking about that, and he's like, yeah, no, we have where in our groves we deal a lot with insects, so we rely on them for everything: food, transportation, silk.
Oh. Transportation. How with transportation?
And he sort of looks and he cracks a smile and he says, he sort of nudges the head guy who's wearing that big cape that looks like moth wings, and that guy turns, and you notice for the first time, because nobody went up very close to him earlier, but now he's pretty close to you, and his cape sort of falls away, and you realize he only has one arm. And he let's see, I have a name for him, I bet. Where did I put it? Oh, my notes. They're really disorganized, everyone. It's bad. Ek Shash Tour. So he says, Ek, tell them what we ride. And then and he turns and he says, well, we ride the silk moths, of course. And he sort of pushes his cape out of the way, and you can see he only has one arm, and he says, we deal in the silk. The silkworms of Jahind are, you have caterpillars in your land, right?
Yes. Caterpillars.
And he looks and he's like, it's just his arms keep going out, and he's like, our caterpillars extend, I've seen them as big as 15, 18 feet.
Big guy.
That's
big
a big caterpillar.
And they turn into very large moths, which we use. We use them for their silk before they become moths, and we use them as our mounts after they have become moths. They are the most loyal and exquisite of creatures.
I desperately want to ride a moth now.
Bucket list. We will have, if possible, I would love to see you ride these mounts, possibly before the delegation ends.
Yes, perhaps you will get a chance.
I'd be greatly honored.
I will never pass up an opportunity to show off my skill in the air. And he sort of just twirls his cape a bit and goes back to his food. And as everyone's eating, or I'm sorry, is there anything anybody else would like to do while this is going on?
Yes. I want to get a mug glass of something alcoholic, and I want to go bother the ogre. I want to go poke the ogre.
Poke the ogre. That's always a good idea. Nothing bad has ever happened. So you can go over to them.
I scurry over and I hold up the cup of alcohol, and in the Maharaja's voice go, I want to build bonds.
The ogre sort of gives a start because it's they think the Maharaja is near them, and then they look over you, and they sort of like give a smile, and they say, "Oh, I have seen," and they have this like deep gravelly voice because they're this huge guy, and they're like, "Yes, I have seen your kind before in the far lands, a Kenku, I believe."
Caw! Ah!
Oh, such interesting creatures. Here, sit, partake in some of this. Do you eat meat?
Arwen just shakes his head, but points to some of the vegetable dishes.
And the ogre looks a little disappointed. He says, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but here, have some of this." And they push some vegetable dish towards you, and you can.
Arwen actually, you know what? Fuck it. Arwen points to the goat and goes, "Meat? Eat
yes,
meat?"
Yes. And they take this. They basically take a big knife and they cut into the side of this goat. And you can see as they're cutting it away, it's not just a goat. We got some turducken action going on. So it's goat, and inside, and it's seasoned with all this stuff. And inside is a chicken, which is seasoned with something different. And inside that is a small pheasant, which is seasoned with something different. And they basically cut a big cross section out, and then take a plate and throw some of the rice on it. Oh, and I'm sorry, there's something inside the pheasant too. Inside the pheasant is a hard-boiled egg that's also seasoned with something.
Arwen's not going to think about the implications of eting different types of bird.
Exactly, right? And you don't think that the ogre realizes
Nope.
that this is like might be not cool, but they throw some of the rice on there, and then they throw that meat on there and hand it to you. It's far too big a portion. It's way too big a portion.
Arwen is going to try his best, and then he's going to hold out a hand and go, "I'm Arwen."
They hold down a finger and sort of shake, and they say, how did I pronounce their name? Shilpakar, right? That was it, I think. That's probably what I said earlier. Yes, Shilpakar. I am the leader of the Adhishau, the great mage of the 10th circle.
I am Arwen, a disgusting little creature.
That's what you say.
Yeah, Arwen, it is a distinctly like female voice that says it, but Arwen does introduce themselves that way.
The ogre sort of gives this belly laugh and say, "Kenku are such fascinating creatures. So amazing." You notice the people that are with them do not seem nearly as joyful. They're like, someone might give like a snicker, but more or less they're sort of eating their food in silence. And like I said, they have those half veils, so they're half of their face is covered, and you see like they eat very carefully, and they sort of like lift the veil very slightly when they're putting food in their mouths. They definitely don't seem to want anyone to see beneath it.
Mm-hmm. Arwen's gonna, in one of the voices of the attendants that he heard earlier, is gonna go, "Looking for a cure?"
Oh, and the ogre sort of looks down at you and is like, either you've been eavesdropping or someone has been telling you something perhaps they shouldn't have, but it's just as well you'd find out sooner or later. These people are unfortunately under a terrible curse. Our city is at the base of a great plateau, at the top of which lives a terrible demon. In ages past, the people of Adhishau attempted to bargain with the creature for riches that their king desired. But the deal was twisted, and so too were the people twisted. They half of their bodies are not pleasant to look upon. But that is not the real terror of their curse. The people of Adhishau cannot die, and so will never have a chance to be reborn and their bodies remade and purged of this curse.
Huh.
How loud is he saying this?
That's fucking fascinating.
He's not saying it that loud. I mean, he has a pretty big that heavy bass in his voice carries through a lot of the room. So if you'd like to make a check to see if you can hear it, you can.
Arwen hears they can't die and just like, you know that vine of that kid who has the knife and the like, what do you have? It's a knife. Arwen just kind of like holds up the knife. Can't die.
I'm sensing a diplomatic issue coming.
He holds up his hand and he's like, it's not that they cannot be killed, but they cannot die of old age. And it is a terrible affliction they have. My order came upon the city a generation ago, and we, being great mages and scholars, offered to help them, and they gave us a seat of power in their city in exchange. And so we have tried to ever since, but through our research thus far, we have not been able to break it. Though we do craft many fine magical items, and the people of that city do as well, which brings us to this delegation.
And in Gareth's voice, Arwen's gonna go, looking for magic scrolls.
Yes, we have many scrolls.
We'd like to trade.
Oh, excellent. And you have spoken with Razia about this, I assume?
Pure intent.
Excellent. All right. Well, in that case, I'm sure the Maharaja will have a meeting with me quite soon to discuss details. But for one such as you, I'm sure we could work something out. Now, Corville, I want to know what Corville is up to during this. So you wanted to see if you could overhear some of the ogre's speech.
I checked that this conversation is relevant to my interests. Yeah.
Okay.
So I rolled a d6 because that seemed to make sense. Is it an ability check or is it like the 1 in 6?
A 1 in 6 would make sense for a listen. Yeah. But I
got
a 6. Is that the bad one?
That's the bad one. Side? Yeah, you want one.
Okay. Then I don't hear it.
So unfortunately, you don't. There's too many people talking. You sort of notice that Arwen is over there talking to this big guy, and that kind of interests you, but you can't make out what's being said.
Okay. In that case, I talk to the. I probably meander over to the Chipahau, the guides, the jungle guardian guides.
Yeah.
And I probably approach the leader-like individual and bow.
The leader looks over at you, doesn't say anything, gives a slight bow. They actually seem a little standoffish, especially compared to a lot of these other people.
Hi, I'm Corville. I'm Corville Bach. I am one of the I'm traveling with a party of the delegates. And after our meeting with Maharaja, it sounds like you play a very important role in this entire region. I'd like to get to know you better.
The Bandar sort of straightens up and he says, "We play the most important role. Without us, the kingdoms would fall into chaos." And he just sort of he has this very haughty attitude about him that I'm not good at role playing, so I'm just gonna say it because that's how this works. And he's like, yes, without us, the kingdoms would fall into chaos in a day's time. In what do they use for measurement here? In a cycle of the small moon. And he sort of looks at you and he says, "But I'm sure a foreigner wouldn't know anything about that."
I only know about the dangers in our own area. The Maharaja did stress that there are many things that you keep at bay. But no, you're right. I don't know about your significance here.
No,
I'm sorry.
There are many things we keep at bay. We have fought back demons, the likes of which you could not comprehend. I have grown to the size of a mountain to hurl blocks. Ooh, something happened on the channel. To hurl great stones at the greatest and most powerful enemies that have walked the land. Only the gods could challenge me.
That is quite amazing. I think to date, traveling here has been my greatest achievement.
Oh.
You can see why I am humbled.
And he looks and he's like, "Oh, that's," so he gives you this look like, "Oh, that's adorable." and he's like, "Yes, I would imagine someone such as you would not be capable of such incredible feats as I. But and sort of spies your holy symbol. But what is that? Some sort of web browser no one uses because they always use Chrome, or maybe if they don't think of installing one, they just use Safari on their Mac. But
are you familiar with Safari? It's like it.
But no, he looks at that and he's just like, "And what is that?" A little bit of disdain in his voice as he points towards the symbol.
That is a symbol of a god who has deigned for some reason to grant me a small fraction of their power.
And he sort of looks at it, he's like, "Not one I recognize, and I have seen the symbols of 1,000,000 gods."
Perhaps this is the 1,000,001st.
Perhaps. How many forms has your god taken? How many times have they walked the earth?
About walking the earth, I honestly don't know. This god is rather particular, and more often than not takes forms not their own.
Interesting. I would like you to roll me a charisma ability check, just because I want to see how they might react to this information.
I can't believe this dude is date keeping your godhood.
He totally is. He's a huge jerk.
Doesn't sound like a real god.
Not to me. Listen, I know a lot of gods. I've never heard of this one. I don't think it's real. I think you made it up.
I feel like a fair amount of this is probably going above Corville's head a bit. Oh, neat. I got a 7. Is this against my charisma or his?
Against your charisma. So you want to roll below. Okay. And I assume 7 did? Unless
I got a
you
7.
have really bad charisma.
I have 7 charisma. That's why Corville's getting meeker.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, you met it. So he's just, so you think that he's about to be like, away with you. And then he's thinking about that god symbol. He's like, "A god I do not know. I would like to know more about this god. Sit, I command it."
And like without saying a word, Corporal just sits.
They don't offer you any food, but they do. But Bandar does begin asking you questions, mostly about like your god's portfolio, and he also says things like, "And how many hands does your god have with which to hold their great items?"
There is one story that I'm familiar with, that my god took a form that had up to 24 hands. I don't know if all of them were holding objects at the time, though.
And he just sits, he sort of leans back, he's like, 24? That is quite impressive. Quite the prowess.
Sure. Though, as I said before, it takes many different forms. So I wouldn't say that there's a constant level of 2 dozen. The average probably shakes out around 5 or 6.
And he's just like, makes sense. Of course, gods will always come down in different forms. The avatars that they take, different every time in personality, in abilities sometimes. But
The only constant form, the only regular or repeating form, seems to be that of a red fox, and that is how we know them.
a what?
Red fox.
A fox?
Oh, perhaps it's an animal not native to the region, and flips through a book and like has an illustration of like a fox. It's not like a godly illustration. It's just
Sure.
kind of like a fox.
The monkey man looks at this and like peers closely at it, and he's just like, what a strange creature. Fun fact, foxes are native to India, but only the mountainous regions, so this dude would never have seen one. Although he does talk about standing on mountains and throwing them at people, but is that true? Maybe not. Actually, I'm sure there are some that are native to the forester regions, but they're much rarer, at least from what I read. So he is like really fascinated by this and the drawing, and he's just looks it over and he's like, sort of goes to like take it from you, and I don't know how you react to that.
The book that was probably produced is not like Corville's Secret Journal of Secret Thoughts. So yeah, he relinquishes.
Sure.
This man is more important than me. Surely he can hack my things.
And he's like, I am more important than you. I deserve these things. And he sort of takes it and is like showing it to some of his different warriors and clans people, and they're looking it over and they're all just like, this is so interesting. And he looks back at you and he's like, and this is this god a warrior?
He has done so.
And are you then a warrior for this god?
I guess for sake of reference, Corville is in plate mail with a mace.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Okay. So he would probably, but he would probably still ask because he's a jerk. So
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, no fair. I have done so.
He says, very interesting. Very interesting.
My main motivation, though, is to learn. I've always been very interested in the magical arts and the knowledge of the arcane, etc., etc. And this is the god that's decided to guide me.
So from his body language, it seems like you had him when you were talking about like, oh yeah, I fight sometimes. And then as soon as you're like, and I like to learn, he like, it turns him off. And he looks away and he's like, what good is words when you can have action? And he just seems like, ugh, someone who wants to learn. Ugh.
Yeah, Corvo will allow himself a bit of cheekiness. I have learned words recently that allow me to look at my spells real quick to actually know what I can.
Yeah, what's that one spell you got?
So as a cleric, I can pick any 2 from first level. Right?
The level you're at? Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, so I hypothetically could have access to any first level spells.
Yeah, like you were supposed to prepare them before the session, but yeah.
Okay. I won't use any of the session unless there's one that I need to demonstrate or something like that, in which I was thinking it'd probably just be light. But Corville would have a basic knowledge of what he would be capable of.
Sure.
Okay. Words that I have learned recently are those 2 wound a body or banish darkness. I found the one that repels evil to be.
You see his monkey ears perk up when you say banish darkness. And he says, what kind of darkness have you dealt with?
To be honest, more often than not, the literal kind. But I have encountered more menacing types, ones that, pats his mace, this doesn't quite land upon.
He sort of eyes you and thinks, you might be useful to me. I'm sorry, he doesn't think that. He says, you might be useful to me. There is a thing in the jungle that we have been hard pressed to deal with, a dark creature. Before he can say more, you hear a clap from the far side of the room. And you look over and you see a person, a woman dressed, again, very resplendently, but she seems slightly different than what you've seen so far. Like, a lot of the people who are dressed nicely, they've got jewelry, like, on their wrists, and they've got rings, and they've got earrings, and they've got, like, necklaces, and some of them have headdress types of things. But this woman, she has that, but it's all sort of like, it's almost gaudy and how big it is. Like, there's a huge headdress and like shoulder pads and like ridiculous, like, and the weird thing about it is it doesn't actually look like it's made of gold or silver. It looks like it's actually very cheap or like imitation type stuff. She claps and she says, "Please, if I could have your attention, the play is about to begin." And everyone, at least who's from the area, sort of nods. They're all sort of putting their food down, and they're not really leaning back because, again, the floor cushions don't exactly let you do that, but they're all looking up at the ceiling. I assume you guys follow suit. Also, I'm going to point out, where is Gareth? He's in the bathroom somewhere. He's missing all this.
Oh, no. Let's go and find him.
And you see the room dims. All of, like, the fires and stuff around start to dim. And suddenly these colored lights just appear, maybe magically, you're not 100% sure, maybe from some hidden alcove, like spotlights, and they're shining on different parts of the ceiling and sort of have these patterns. Lights dance across the walls and ceiling, and a man floats upward onto what you recognize is a kind of a stage, which is the ceiling, and sort of they're in like profile to you, so it's as if the ceiling itself is like the back of the stage, right? And they are looking forward, and they seem to this man is wearing like stage makeup, theatrical makeup. They have a long beard that looks like, because they look like a younger person, but they are wearing a fake beard. And they are wearing like all of this elaborate costume that looks like it is a stage costume. And they have, you can't tell, like you think it might be magic of some sort, but it seems as if this man has 4 faces that are on different sides of their head. And it's like when one of them moves, they all move in unison. So you think like, oh, maybe it's like some kind of illusion magic, maybe. But this wizened or made up to be wizened looking man with 4 faces hovers upward, holding a lotus flower. He is joined shortly by a young man with brilliant blue painted skin, wielding a trident. Then they are joined by another young man with similarly painted skin, riding on what seems to be a great serpent, and it seems like it's kind of half magic, half prop, where it's like this sort of, like, I don't want to say paper mache, but this sort of elaborate puppet type serpent that he's riding as he floats upward, and it's like the strings have been CGI'd out, so it seems a little more realistic. I've lost my place. Okay, so riding a great serpent. They speak in turns. First, the great divinity created us 3, The creator, says the first man. The destroyer, says the second man. And the preserver, says the third man. One to make the lands and peoples, says the first. One to wipe the slate clean so that creation can begin again, says the second. And one to maintain the harmony of the other two, says the third. The lights shift to purple and red hues, and you hear this howling sound. It's not like the howling of an animal, but like a person making a howling sound from offstage. And flying upward is a performer with their face painted in a demonic visage. They speak. I, Rakta, lay claim to all. I cannot be defeated, for to cut me only increases my power. I will rule. These line deliveries are like super overdramatic. And what ensues is the two sides like fake battle. They fly across the ceiling, miming piercing each other with weapons and throwing dazzling blasts of light across the stage at each other back and forth. And finally, the person who was identified earlier as the preserver speaks. Dear brothers, lend me your strength and I will defeat Rakta. The three position themselves, one behind the other, with the preserver at the front. Coordinating their movements perfectly through the air, they dance toward the demon as one warrior, striking at him with their 6 arms with such force that he disappears in a plume of smoke. The audience claps. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is so nice." Everyone's like clapping. But you notice as everyone's clapping and the performers are like, yeah, and they seem like they're about to go into maybe like another act or something. But then like a worried look crosses the faces of the performers. And you see these tendrils of roiling green smoke that just begin coiling around the edges of the ceiling and going inward. And at first you think maybe it's part of the show. This is a nicer looking special effect than what they've had thus far. But you think it's part of the show until the performers begin to yell and gasp as smoke fills their lungs. The green pestilence then roils over them, completely enshrouding the ceiling and forming into a snarling tiger-like face at the center, looking down at the crowd. It speaks, and its voice booms, shaking the hall and the now frightened guests below who are around you. It says, "Lies, lies and half-truths. The great Maharaja is a lord of broken promises." And the face loses cohesion, and the smoke begins to descend as the guests scream, and the performers drop like flies from the ceiling, their lifeless bodies hitting the ground with a crunch. What do you do?
Look for exits.
Hide.
The whole room is erupting in chaos.
On
Yeah,
my
I
honor,
look to see
your
what
ghost shall remain
Bandar
unharmed.
is doing.
Oh, hey, we have a raid coming in. That's nice. Welcome to the stream, everybody. But yeah, so I'm sorry, what did you say, Taylor?
Looking at Bandar, and kind of seeing what he's doing.
He draws a sword immediately, but doesn't seem to be able to find an enemy to fight. Though that's what he's looking for, it seems.
Yeah.
What is Silfkar doing?
That's the ogre, right? I should remember what the names of my own PCs are. He looks very worried, and he's like, he whispers, he mutters something to himself, and he begins trying to cast a spell, and he says, "My people, come to me. We must leave. This is far too dangerous." And the veiled people sort of move toward him. And yeah, he begins trying to cast something.
Cool.
I look towards the guest I was speaking with, the Saviar. Is that right?
Blah 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 blah. I think you were talking with the moth warrior guys, right?
Yes.
Oh, what was that dude's
The
name?
Rishon Keat.
The Rishon Keat. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, is there an exit?
He looks around and he says, "Oh, yes, there's through there. Come, we must go. There's
Let's go. Let's go.
I whistle, kind of hoping to grab as much attention as possible and point to the exit. And is it generally where Gareth?
yeah,
took
where
off
he
to?
where he ran off to in search of the restroom.
I grab that little plate of ant paste as I go, which is really good, and I boogie.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you guys are all trying to run. Yeah, is the Bandar, the monkey warrior, is actually not attempting to run. He's like jumped up on the table and seems to be looking for someone to fight. A lot of other people are running though. Oh, and the ogre is not attempting to run. He's attempting to cast a spell. But most other people are running, and it seems like that's bottlenecking. Even though that's a large doorway, it's still a lot of people. So if you're trying to get out of the room, I'm going to need strength ability checks. I'm also going to need, regardless of how those checks come out, this green like gas is just descending on the room, and you're starting to breathe some of it in. And I'm gonna need a save versus poison. Not death, poison. Because this is not good. This is not good stuff.
Okay, poison save, that's a d20, and we want to meet or exceed.
Yes. And then the other thing I'm asking you for, which is the strength ability check, is a d20. You want to meet or get below your strength.
I don't think Corville is immediately attempting to flee.
Sure. Okay.
I saved for poison. I rolled a 6 and my stats are 13.
Well,
for saves, you want to get above, don't you?
Yeah, so
Is
it's
it above or below?
that's why it's confusing. So I asked for both just now, so I asked for a strength check to get through the crowd. You want to get below on that. But for a saving throw, which I also asked for, you need to get above.
Okay.
I know, right? It's
Okay. Arwen is attempting to leave.
Sure.
So I will roll for that, and then I'll roll again for the poison, because
Yeah.
I did something weird.
Normally they both don't happen at once. That's kind of on me. But yeah.
So I failed that strength saving throw, because
Okay.
I have a 3 in strength. And then my poison, I rolled a 15, so that beats the 13.
Okay. All right. So you succeeded. Yeah. So you breathe in some of the stuff and you sort of hack and you cough, but you're not like that. It's not like having some sort of ongoing effect.
Right.
However, you're not able to push your way through the crowd. You've gotten nowhere. You see the ogre is okay, cool. The ogre is coughing, but not so much that they have dropped their spell. Some of the people that are with them remain all right. They're sort of all joining hands. Another faints, and you see the image of that group of people in that table that are like right next to you begin to shimmer, and they just disappear. They just like wink out of existence.
I also passed the poison one.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
So I have a 12 for poison. I rolled a 13.
Mm-hmm.
And then my strength is 17 and I rolled a 15.
Yeah.
Arwen up as well as I kind of muscle my way out.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could do that if you want.
Cool. I was gonna take the opportunity of chaos to loot some folks, though.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I should point out those curtains you stole is 150 GP worth of gemstones. Forgot to
Start
mention that
taking
earlier.
the curtains. Pull them all down.
Cool. As we're Ulf can like pick me up, and as we're passing, I just want to reach out and just grabbing necklaces off of people.
Oh no. And Taylor, what'd you get for your saving throw?
I got 18.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah. But also I am not attempting to flee. I'm kind of still by.
So Bandar, jumps up on the table, brandishing a sword, saying, "What is this cowardly sorcery? They would attack us from afar instead of facing us one-on-one in battle." And he's sort of swinging the sword around, and then the gas reaches him, and he breathes in some of it. And he just goes, and he immediately like begins to fall over, because he failed a saving throw.
Corville says, your strength is 1,000, but perhaps this is one of those enemies we cannot club. Can I try to cast protection from evil?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, you totally can. I mean, you made your saving throw, so nothing would interrupt you.
And can I roll pickpocket to see how much shit I steal?
Yeah, you could do that.
Cool. Where did my percentage dice go? Here we go. Ooh, okay, so my pickpocket percentage is 30, and I rolled a 23.
Nice. All right.
Oh.
Stealing all this shit.
You steal from just sort of the finery that you're grabbing off people. It's a smorgasbord here, because the people who are native to this area who are at this delegation are wealthy and have a bunch of jewelry, and the merchants are wealthy and have a bunch of jewelry. So you just as you're hanging over Ulf's shoulder, you're just grabbing stuff out of pockets. You get 700 gold pieces worth of stuff. It's probably like a few rings, like a diamond necklace.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled pretty well on that. Pretty well on that. Yeah. So, gosh, thank goodness. Thank goodness Cole is getting all the experience for everybody this session. But anyway, you. So Taylor, you're gonna try and cast that spell, which I should look up.
Just sent you the text.
Oh, excellent.
Looks like at level 1 it only protects me.
Oop.
So that'll be nice. Also, I might run and grab a lamp real quick when it's not me actively talking right now. I just keep... One of these days I will learn not to rely on lighting from a window when a stream begins before and ends after a sunset. Yeah. So, do I have to roll for spells, or do I just do it?
Just do it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, it's the only time you would run into trouble is if something would interrupt it, which if you had failed the roll against the gas, probably would have. So let's see. The cleric gains +1 bonus on saving throws against or special abilities of the affected creatures. So what, are you choosing an alignment, or what's going on here? Spell wards carry for attacks by creatures of another alignment. Oh, just so an alignment that's not your alignment, I think. So I'm going to read this as. So what is your alignment, out of curiosity?
Law.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. Additionally, the spell prevents enchanted, construction, or summoned creatures from attacking the cleric in melee, although they may still make ranged attacks. Sure. If you engage them in melee, it voids the protection. Sure.
I also will accept that this is going to be like mostly a security blanket type of situation.
Yeah. Oh, this spell lasts for 12 turns.
Is that a long time?
It's a really long time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Isn't a turn like 10 minutes?
A turn is 10 minutes.
Oh, dope. Okay, so I get this for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about BX, all you people who are watching at home. You'd think a turn would be, a
6
turn.
seconds?
Yeah.
Seconds,
Fine.
yeah.
But a turn in old editions of D&D is actually a 10-minute period of time. So when we refer to turns, that's how long they are. Also, side note for casters out there, concentration, which if you're familiar with 5th edition, is obviously a thing, preventing you from having more than one ongoing spell at a time. Not a thing that exists in BX or really most older editions. So yeah, you can have that protection spell up for a long while, and you can have some other buffs on you. if you got the spell slots to cast them, you can have them.
Cool. All right. So I do my magic and load up several tabs of protection. Corville spells probably have a manifestation that is similar to flame. And so he's like protected with this flamey glow. And he offers a hand to Bandar.
I like the idea that this noxious gas is coming down and it's just being burned away by this fire that surrounds you, which is a cool image. And you sort of offer a flaming hand, and Bandar, who's just sort of doubled over, coughing, looks around, sees that the situation is not great, and takes your hand. And that's basically the first round of what happens. So round 2 sort of, it's not a combat, doesn't exactly work that way. But Ulf and Arwen have exited the room because they had that successful strength check, and Arwen was being carried. So you guys make it out of the room, and you see that there's that noxious gas falling from the ceiling in there. Out here, not so much. The air is much more breathable, but you sort of run out of there coughing and sputtering a bit as you get out of that place, and people are still sort of tumbling outward.
Gareth. Where's Gareth?
I think he's back in the room. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
All right. I set her down, and I set him down, and I run back into the room.
You know that, just to let you know, you are pretty sure you saw Gareth run out of the main hall when he ate spicy food, and you don't remember him entering back into the dining room.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll go find him. You get Corville.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Arwen sprints off down the hall through this throng of sort of disheveled people. Everyone's bent over, gagging and stuff. And Ulf runs back in. While he's running back in, you don't have to make a strength check again, but you are going to need to make another save versus poison. And Taylor, you will need to make another save versus poison as you are still in the room, but you have that +1 bonus.
Cool.
14. And my poison is 12.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the thing with saving throws in this. You just tell me if you succeeded or not, because you know what the DC is. It's on your character sheet.
Oh no, that one's not a succeed.
Okay, so you sort of you're taking Bandar under your arm, and you're trying to make your way out. But this sort of smoke is sort of coiling around you as if alive, and it seems to get into your lungs no matter what you try to do. Your constitution is reduced by 6 points.
Like forever times?
Maybe, I don't know. You don't know. You feel
All right.
sick. You feel and your movement is also reduced significantly as you double over.
Okay. So Corville, hunches over. He's not an exceptionally strong. He's a very weak person. He has strength, so supporting the weight of Bandar. He's not supporting the weight of Bandar. Let's be honest. He's a crutch in this situation. And so he is also starting to double over and cough, but still making I guess, exit word progress.
Sure, yeah. Bandar actually succeeded his save, but he already took a bunch of con and movement damage from last round. So you're both are hobbling, but you're not even close to the door yet. Out of curiosity, how much con do you have left?
I started with 10 and I'm -6.
Yeah, so you're
So
at 4.
4.
Okay.
That's a -2 or -3?
I think it's -2. I might need to check that in the book. Oh, I have the book open. I'm like almost on that page. Hey, 4 is -2. Yes. If you go below that, you're looking at -3. Okay. Oh, that's strength. I was looking at strength. Con is the same, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So Ulf, you succeeded? You said?
Yep.
Okay.
I succeeded the poison.
You run into the room and your eyes are stinging from this gas that's hitting you, but you can see hobbling, not even close to the door yet, is Corville and the who you recognize as the leader of the monkey person delegation, trying to hobble their way towards the door and not doing a very good job.
I'm going to try to go over and assist as best I can. Probably put myself between them, do the whole shoulder carry, and drag them if need be to the door.
Sure. Yeah, make me a strength ability check.
Let's see. Strength. I would succeed.
All right. Yeah, because you got a 17, so you're in good shape.
Yep.
What do I have it set that way? Hold on one second. Okay, so yeah, you're able to grab them up and just pull them towards the door and get them out. So you guys exit the room sputtering. And Arwen, let's cut over to you real quick. You are sprinting down the hall, searching for your employer, who just really got a bad palate.
I don't know which between us, Arwen, which of us had the worst job? Me running into the poison room, or you going after Garrett after that? I don't know. Situation's dire.
We'll see.
So let's see here. Do you have a skill that makes sense for this situation? I feel like you don't, but I kind of wanted to see.
I mean, hear noise if I wanted to try and like hear his pained sweating, but I don't think I have any like special skills.
Okay. So let's see here. I would say you can make a general
perception check.
Yeah, make a general search, which is you take some time to you're sort of running through the halls.
Yeah.
And I need you to roll 1d6.
Okay. That's a 6.
Okay. You are looking around. You're looking around. You can't. You just keep. It keeps being those things where you're like, oh, there he is, and then you turn the person around at somebody else. And then you see out of the corner of your eye, you think you see him, and he is walking towards a small metal door. Seemingly pretty calmly, but he wasn't in the room when the gas attack happened, so I guess he wouldn't be as freaked out as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty far off though, but you can see him at like the far end of a hallway. He seems to be walking towards there. Oh, you know what? Because you didn't roll well, I am gonna say that took you a while.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you also, when you at like the same time you catch a glimpse of him, you also see Ulf and Corville and Bandau sort of exiting out of the hall chamber and sort of gagging and wheezing.
Okay. I see that they're out, so I'm just gonna go after Garrett.
Sure. You follow him. He is a ways ahead of you.
Yeah.
But he goes up to this door, which he opens, and walks through into another chamber. If you follow him in there, you see that at the doorway is actually the top of a staircase that leads down into darkness.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
sure.
follow downward. Meanwhile, back with everybody else. There is so you guys have exited, you're coughing, you're sputtering a little bit. And there is a sort of a strange sound that you hear. It's actually kind of like it starts kind of like that howl you heard during the performance, but that was like a guy attempting to do like a demon yell, and it starts sounding kind of human, and then the longer it goes, the more inhuman it begins to sound. And you look around and you just see these pools of like crimson ichor that are starting to bubble and writhe around sort of the sides of this great hall, and they begin to form, like humanoid shapes begin to pick themselves up out of these pools of ichor. And as they do so, you just see it starts as looking like kind of humanoid, and it's making that noise, and it sounds vaguely human. And then sort of the more it forms, it goes from being like humanoid Gumby shape, oh, harmless, hilarious, and it's like limbs like keep elongating, and it's like hands get like jagged and claw-like.
Oh, good.
And its sort of face, it forms like these giant bulbous like orange eyes, and this very sort of angular face, with this mouth that has all these jagged teeth and curved tusks. And the creatures just sort of screech. They have this sort of gaunt skin as it sort of the last of the crimson ichor kind of fades off of them. And they leap forward to attack.
What was in that ant paste is what is going through my mind right now.
Well, it was so spicy. I knew the spice was bad.
I'm hallucinating.
And you, we're going to combat.
Combat.
Not Arwen. Arwen is not going to combat. They're doing something else. They're in a different scene, but everybody else is in combat.
He's going down into the basement, to the dark basement.
Yes. What bad things could happen there? I'm sure nothing. Now, let's see here. Combat. We are in round 1, everybody. So would anyone like to cast a spell or do a full retreat? Okay. Who would like to roll initiative for the group? I'm just going to say Taylor. Taylor, you roll initiative.
Okay. That is a D6.
Yep. Just a straight D6 roll.
I got a 2. I'm sorry, team.
Sorry, team. Aha! They got a 1.
Oh, good.
Hell yeah.
So you guys get to go first. Movement happens. You see these creatures are, I mean, they're probably within 30 feet, but they're around the perimeters of the area with all these people, and they seem to be lunging forward and attacking people at random, just digging their claws into them.
I'm going to let go of both people, hoist the shield and probably a sword, and I will go over to the closest one and attack.
Sure. Okay, so you move to the closest one. Movement happens. Then, if anyone wants to do any ranged attacks, so if Corville, for instance, wanted to do a ranged attack, that's when that would happen. Or this is when that would happen. And then then spells would trigger, which none were announced, so none are triggering. And then melee attacks happen. So just to double check, Taylor, you're not doing any ranged attacks?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and roll your melee attack against this.
All right, I got a 20.
Yeah, that'll hit.
There we go, and I am using my sword, so it'll be a D6, which is a 5.
Nice.
And do I add any mod to that?
Strength bonus you get to add to damage.
Okay, so that's a +2.
Nice. All right. So I'm gonna say there's like 3 of these things. You swing your sword, and it just connects with this thing and like lops one of its arms off, and this gross goo just like shoots out of the stump. It's still up, but it like screeches horribly as you do that. Okay, Taylor, are you doing anything?
Yes. Corval would not be doing movement really. Like he's not going towards one of them. But he does get his mace and shield ready, and if there's one in range when it gets to the melee point, he will do an attack.
Sure. Okay. Now it is their go. They don't have any ranged attacks, so they're not doing that. They don't have any spells, so they're not doing that. They are going to move. Are they going to move? Who are they going to move towards? Because they might just move towards some random people and hack at them, or they might move towards Ulf, or they might move towards Corville. Okay. Hey. Okay. Oh, wait, there's another one. Oh, they wouldn't move because they're already melee. So one of them just seems to be gleefully just hacking away at these people. It runs into the midst of a group of merchants and just starts slashing, and you see like people falling down, and just sort of blood like spilling onto the floor and seeping out. And another lunges toward Corville, and is going to attempt to attack you. What is your armor class?
I will attempt not to be attacked.
Okay.
Armor class. I wrote that down. It's 17.
Did that spell give you a bonus? Or wait, no, don't they? They can't attack you, right? Like, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, protection from evil.
Yeah.
Gosh, where did I put that? That was in chat. Affected creatures attacks against the character penalized by -1. If they're summoned creatures, they cannot attack me in melee.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
So this creature actually runs forward because it wants to attack you, and then the flames that are around you sort of just lick up, and it attempts to swipe, and it's just like recoils at the heat of it, and it hisses at you. Very annoyed that it can't do that. Now the one in front of Ulf is going to attack him. I think that's going to hit because I rolled a natural 17. Okay.
My armor class is 18.
Yes, I was going to say they hit because they've definitely got at least a +2. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you take 4 points of damage. And as this thing digs into you, make me a save versus paralysis and petrification.
Oh, okay, so I got a 14 there. 19.
Hey, you're good. Good for you. Okay. Yes. Adjust my math. Okay. That's all of them. So we're at the start of a new round. Would anyone like to cast a spell or do a retreat? I assume not. Okay.
No. Sorry. I posted this in chat, but like there's a super intense thunder and lightning storm, so that expression right there was like in response to the boom that I could literally feel. I think it's gonna be okay, but fair warning.
Yeah.
Gosh, everybody's having a rough time. Okay.
Weather's been not nice.
No spells though, thank you.
Okay. All right. So, Josh, why don't you roll for the group?
All right, here we go. That's D6.
Yep.
I got a 3.
They also got a 3. So simultaneously things will happen. Let's see here. We have I don't assume anyone's making a ranged attack. Although actually, someone is going to make a ranged attack. Bandar is going to make a ranged attack against the creature that is in front of Corville. He's gonna miss. He's in such bad shape, and he rolled so bad. So let's see here. Let's do melee attacks. Taylor, are you going to melee attack this creature, or are you going to try and keep your protection up?
Does attacking remove protection?
I believe it does. If the cleric engages such a creature in melee, the protection is broken. The cleric still gains the bonuses to saving throws and attack rolls mentioned above. So it will be able to attack you if you attack it, but you'll still, have some bonuses.
Okay. In that case, okay, so is Bandor actively doing combat with these guys too?
He's standing off to the side, and he has a bow out, which has just fired at the thing in front of you.
He is a thematic, non-contributing character to the sequence. I was wondering if Corville's trying to get him out. Corville's probably more interested in helping the people who are just being slaughtered get out of the way.
Sure. That they are definitely being slaughtered. That's the thing that's happening.
Yeah. So he's not directly engaging. He's just trying to get between people.
Sure.
And
so if you want, you can use your movement and sort of try and get in there. So the creature that's hacking at these people, you can kind of try and step in between. And the creature seems very annoyed that you are doing this. And now there's basically 2 that are trying to attack you, but they're having a difficult time of it because of your aura that you're projecting. Ulf and his opponent are attacking each other at the same time.
There we go. We got... that might not do it. Let's see. 11 total.
11 total? Oh, no, that's not going to be enough. Although it also didn't manage to hit you with its 11 total. So
we just kind of lock arms, hitting each other.
Yeah, and it's just you're face to face, and the thing is just screeching at you. So that's a cool combat happening off to the side. We're entering another round. I don't assume anyone is casting a spell or full retreating, so let's just move on to rolling initiative. Who would like to do it?
I guess I can take this turn. Are we doing full combat, or do we? I guess how is time passing for us versus our Kingu friend, and I forgot his name.
Arwen.
I knew it started with an A and it was 2 syllables, but I was otherwise just gonna make noises.
So combat in this, in terms of how long it lasts, is the same as in modern editions of D&D. So a round is 6 to 10 seconds.
Okay, so he's still creeping through the door.
Yeah, he probably when he descended into there before these things spawned up anyway, so he probably doesn't even realize anything's going on yet.
Okay. Let's roll a d6. And that number is 1.
Sorry. Okay, so the combat with Ulf. They didn't hit. The other 2 can't, so they can't seem to attack. They can't get at Corville. They're very distraught by this. One of them keeps hacking at you. Another one decides to turn its attention towards someone else. It's having a tough time getting at the people because you're standing in the way of that. So it's either going to go toward Bandar or to Ulf. It's actually going to Bandar, so it runs over towards him and attempts to hack at him and hits because it rolls well on that, and deals some damage, but he's still looking. He's holding himself up. Okay, that's it for them. So now now it is your guys' go. I don't assume anyone's doing any ranged attacks. So yeah, I guess Josh roll melee. Bandar is also gonna roll melee. Yeah, there you go, Bandar. Do some stuff. You're a warrior. You rolled well.
And you know what? Screw it. I'm also gonna do melee.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. All right. So I rolled an 18.
Yeah, you definitely hit.
And I was reminded that swords are a 1d8. Thank you for that. Because I completely goofed. So that is a 6, 7, 8. 8 damage.
Hey, you like cut this guy in half.
Nice.
Okay, so Bandar did some damage. Not a lot because he didn't roll well on his damage die, but he did something. And yeah, Corville, what did you get to hit?
My number is 14.
That is enough.
Cool. And then I do roll a 1d6 for a mace. Oh, and I got a 1. I'm bad at rolling.
You just pick it up and you drop it. That's all you have to do.
I'm using an app. I'll use real dice next time. I think I'm technology is not in my favor. I've forsaken the dice gods with my false idols.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was writing something. So you did what did you get? You didn't hit? You got a 1? Okay.
1.
Ooh. Gosh, okay. So all right, we're just going to
because strength modifier, even when it's a negative, affects the damage that your weapon deals.
No, not damage. And I think it would affect your roll to hit though.
Yes, I did apply my -1 to my roll to hit, and I got a 14 after that.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't apply to the damage dealt with the dice, then I got a 2.
Oh, there you go.
Getting stuff done.
Okay. Let's see here. Just need to write this down for later. That'll be relevant. Okay, so what happens next? We're going right into another round. No spells are going off, no retreats are happening, I assume. Nobody's making ranged attacks because everyone's involved in melee. So let's just roll initiative and see who gets to attack first. Yeah,
Josh, you
why
want
don't
to take this
do
one?
that?
I shall. I screwed up. I got a 1.
Well, you're in luck because I rolled, or no, I'm sorry, you're not, because I rolled a 2. So you really had a lot of chances there. Okay, so the creatures attack. They can now attack Corville, so 1 is going to attack each of you and Bandar. Josh, you are not hit. Corville, what's your armor class again? I have it.
17.
I should just look. You
7.
are also not hit.
Cool.
And Bandar is also not hit. Good for lots of low rolls on the bad guys' parts. So now that's them. So you can make your attacks. And Bandar is going to make his attack. He's going to hit. And, oh, sweet. Bandar, good job. Josh, who are you attacking? Because you killed.
I'm going to go to the one in front of Corbin.
Okay.
And we'll give that a go. 13.
13 hits.
Oh, okay. I'm loving these new dice. Bringing me much luck. Watch, I say that. Everything's going to go to heck. Not so much of the damage. 5.
Okay. It is still up, but fairly injured. As you, what kind of sword do you have, by the way?
Longsword.
Okay. So you just swing your longsword around, cutting into this thing, and it recoils from you, screeching as, yeah, I guess they would bleed red. So there's red ichor flying everywhere. Okay, so Corville, and what are you doing?
Does a 2 hit, do you think?
Does it?
Is that gonna meet or exceed their AC?
Is it two?
I got a 2.
Is it two gonna meet or exceed? I don't think so.
Shoot, okay.
uh,
Then no, I miss.
Okay. And Bandar did some decent damage, but he has not managed to fell the thing in front of him. We're going into a new round. Taylor, roll initiative, please.
Mm-hmm.
Beat a 3.
I did. I got a 6.
There you go. You guys get to go first.
Nice.
Clobber. I get a 15.
15 hits for sure.
I am not. I have a 5.
Oof. Okay. Yeah.
And 4 damage.
4 damage is enough to fell the thing in front of you. Okay. So, Bandar, can you hit? Yes. Okay. Cool. So as your Corville sort of lunges forward because you have a mace, as I assume you have a mace, and just start bashing at this thing, and it sort of falls backward, and you just embed your mace right in its rib cage, and you just hear this crack, and then you pull it out with a sucking sound, and the thing just twitches a little and does not move anymore. And then you turn, and you just see the head of the one near Bandar just fall to the floor, and its body slump over as Bandar is just sort of standing there, looking still exhausted and holding his bloodied blade. And he says, I guess you really are a good warrior.
I have done so.
There are people who are hurt. There are people who are dead. These creatures' bodies lay strewn about, and there is blood coating the floor, which actually blends in pretty nicely because it's already red stone. People are sort of freaking out. Meanwhile, Arwen, you are walking down this staircase in the dark. Your
Stealth.
You can roll stealth if you'd like.
Cool. Which my percentage for that is it's only a 20, which is bullshit as a thief, but fucking whatever. Wow, that is a 96. I definitely don't stealth.
Okay.
I trip down the fucking stairs.
You trip downstairs. You don't. So you're you don't. Do you light a torch or anything? I don't. If you're trying to stealth, I don't assume you do.
No.
So you're just feeling your way along. You can't really see and you can just faintly hear the steady footfalls of the person you're following. And you sort of are trip a little bit, because a step is a little bigger than you thought it was, and you're like, damn it, and it echoes a little through the thing, and you see towards the bottom of the stairs just a vague outline of a shape, and they just sort of turn. It's like Gareth's. You think it's Gareth, but it's kind of hard to tell because you can't really see. But they just turn back to look at you, and the eyes just flash in the darkness like an animal in the forest would.
Oh, good.
But then instead of going towards you, they just turn back and continue steadily walking on, and you can't really see them. But you make your way to the bottom of the staircase, and you see this room, this chamber. There's a lot of carven images in it, but these images seem to be these faces. There's faces carved along the walls, and they're these demonic faces that have these large mouths, and they're just it's weird. It looks like the creature is eating itself. So it's like
Oh.
its limbs are going into its mouth.
Like an Ouroboros, whatever that is.
It's kind of like that. It's not exactly the same idea,
Right,
but
right.
it's kind of that same idea. And as you enter into that room, otherwise it's fairly bare, and there's you see the figure at the far end standing in a doorway, and they just you see, once again they turn to you and you see those flashing eyes, and now you're closer, and they flash and you can see they're slitted like a cat's eyes would be, and you just hear this phrase muttered, some sort of language you can't quite understand, and the room lights up. Suddenly you can see everything quite clearly. This green flame sort of ignites, just balls of it floating in the air. And you see Gareth standing there with these eyes that are very much not Gareth's eyes. And they just wave their hand, and then they walk through the doorway, and the door slams shut behind them to the next chamber, and the whole room begins to shift around you, and you get the weirdest feeling of vertigo that you've ever had.
No.
So I need a saving throw versus spells, wands, and staves.
Okay. Which is pretty high for me. I think it's a 14. Okay. Ooh, okay. So my spells, wand, and staff is 14, and I rolled a 15.
Nice. Okay. So if you saw the movie Marvel's Doctor Strange, this would it's fine. It's not that good. Although it does have Mads Mikkelsen in it, and he's a gem. So it's really nice to see him in anything.
Maybe be one reason I go and see that movie then.
They don't give him enough to do. It's kind of a waste, honestly. But he is in it. So anyway, you see the floor just starts to shift, and all the tiles begin to move around, and just these voids begin to open. So it's as if like these chasms just sort of create themselves around you, and you basically like stop short of tumbling headlong down into one of them. But now it is much harder to get to the door because there's like these weird pits, and like the stonework keeps shifting around. So you're like, I could try and jump one of them, but if I did, like the place I want to land might not be there.
I was so close to buying a grappling hook. I was like, I'm never gonna need a grappling hook. Why would I get a grappling hook?
That would have been perfect in this scenario.
I want to acrobatics this shit. I want to.
Oh my gosh, you have climb sheer surfaces.
I do. So I want to get to the closest wall, and like I'm gonna like, those like free they're the crag climbers who like do it without any of the fucking like gear. I want to do that into the wall and like stick my talons in and just like crawl up that wall.
And because of the like carven faces and stuff, it does give you some more handholds and things.
Okay. So I have to beat an 89%. Yeah, I got a 31. I do it.
You do it. I was gonna say it would have been a little harder than normal because again, it's weird when you go to grab the walls, because before you were like trying to walk across the floor and the floor was shifting. When you go to grab the walls, it's as if they like know that you're trying to do that, and the walls begin to shift. But you still rolled really well, so you're still able to sort of start climbing around past. It's taking you a little while, but you're making it there. Now, everybody else, while you're sort of engaged in doing this, everyone else, this combat has happened. Everything's calmed down because the combat was relatively quick. And you're sort of seeing who's alive, who's dead, who's still around. And you notice, where's Arwen?
Corville, have you seen him?
I haven't. Let's look, and he should be pretty easy to spot.
There's
Do we see any? Did we catch glimpse as we stumbled out? Do we have any clue that he might have gone that way?
You might have. Roll me. Each of you roll me 1d6 and just see.
Well, I have been rolling a lot of ones on those, so let's just.
How lucky we get.
Got a 2.
But I have a 3.
Okay, well, I'll say Ulf's 2 is probably good enough that, when you came out of the room, you're pretty sure you saw Arwen follow Gareth down a stairwell, which, if you look around towards that area, there's a door that seems to lead to a stairwell. Corville, Corville, who's looking around, is like, where is, suddenly careening headlong into you, is a very flustered Gareth, who is just like, what is... I just go to try and find the bathroom, which is, oh my god,
Gareth.
So hard to find. And what is going?
Gareth,
There's blood everywhere.
How are you doing? You ate something that didn't sit well with you?
Are you
feeling better now?
I'm fine. I mean, it's out of my system.
But you found the bathroom?
What? There's blood. What is this thing? And he points towards the demon head.
Bad things.
He's like, what is? I'm freaking out.
Gareth, have you seen Arwen?
Arwen? No, I haven't seen him. Why?
He was supposed to come find you, and I thought you were there, but you're here. Stay here.
Are there more demons around?
Well, at least not in this area.
Sauntering up is Bandar, and he's like, I can protect you. Rotund human. He's kind of leaning heavy on his sword, but he's like, yeah, I can protect you. And Gareth's like, okay. Sure, I'm freaking out.
All right, Corville, let's check down here.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't notice that door before. Yeah, that looks right.
You head towards the door. You head down the staircase. Oh, also, if you're watching, and for the players as well, we're running a little long today. Usually we try and end... My goal is for future games to end around 11 or 11:30. We're going a little late today, but we kind of started later. So, sorry. We are close. We're very close to where I wanted to stop.
I'm in Pacific time zone, so this is easy for me.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. You don't care. So you guys head down this staircase. It's dark. Does anyone light a torch?
I do.
Okay. So you light up a torch. You're able to see the staircase and get down it fairly quickly. It's there's some wall carvings along the sides, and it's nice. It's made of the same red stone, but it's not like crazy opulent or anything. And as you're heading downward, you see this chamber that seems to be at the bottom of the stairwell has this green glow to it as you approach. And when you get to the threshold of it, you see crazy. Listen, if you ever saw Marvel's Doctor Strange, so that it seems like the stonework in the floor is shifting as you look at it, and like creating different pits and things. And you haven't entered into the room yet. If you'd like to, I will ask you to make a saving throw. But you also see Arwen just clambering across these walls of shifting stonework, almost to the doorway or the door on the other side of the chamber.
I imagine Arwen can do that thing that like owls do, where they kind of just turn their head, and like looks back at you guys and does a little wave, and then continues to keep crawling along the wall.
Looks like Arwen found us.
There we go.
Arwen, do you need anything? I think I have rope in my backpack.
Arwen, I think, calls out, it's probably not safe. Probably not safe. Stay there. I'll be back.
Okay. Assuming you guys stay and follow that instruction.
I'm not your dad or a cop. You can guys just enter the room if you want to.
Listen, if you're a cop, you have to tell me.
Legally.
Legally. It's a good show. I should watch that show.
So you can make it to the other side of the room and to that doorway, which is not locked, and you can open it up if you'd like.
Yes.
You open the door, and within is a chamber that is full of different items. There are a couple chests that seem to be heavily locked. There are several different pedestals and things that seem to contain different items. Some of them are weapons, some of them are different other odd-looking things. And you see that towards the center of the room, there is a little statue that has been broken in half on the floor. Looks like it was made of clay or something. It was broken in half on the floor. Standing before it is not Gareth. And standing next to this broken piece of stonework is this gigantic snake with the head of a person that is looking down, and they seem to just be finishing a conversation. And the not Gareth looks back at you, turns back, looks at you again, and you sort of crow at him, and he just kind of smiles, and you see his there's a shimmer across his form, and the visage of Gareth just melts away, and instead you see standing there a humanoid tiger with these very ornate robes, and the tiger just sort of smiles at you and then disappears.
Cool. Is that giant snake with the human head still there?
Oh yeah, that's still there.
Cool. I'm gonna shut the door and leave.
You shut the door and leave?
I'm just gonna like
Nope.
just slowly shut the door again and then turn back to the other two.
And then you sort of shut the door, so you look in, you caw, and then you shut the door and you turn back to them, and they're still standing on the other side of the room.
I'm just gonna make a big cross, a big no with my arms.
What was in the room, Arwen?
Snake. Arwen is just screaming snake. Arwen.
Do you need help coming back? I think I have a rope in my backpack.
Sure, please.
I was gonna say, we're since we are running a little low on time, I think I'm gonna trigger an event that I was gonna save for a little later. With that, you hear the rush of wind through the chamber, and the sort of globules of flame that were glowing green suddenly shift to glow blue. And all these shifting bricks and stuff all suddenly rearrange themselves, and the room looks like a normal chamber again. And stepping into the room from behind Ulf and Corville is none other but Razia the Maharaja, sort of waving their hand, and they are just looking at this, and they sort of shake their head. And they're like, we have much to discuss. And that is where we're going to end the session.
Great.
Hey, that has been the premiere, the first session 1 of Intrigue in the Ivory Kingdoms. Oh, we've set up so many tantalizing plot hooks. What could they all mean? Introduced so many interesting NPCs. Factions, things like that. I hope you who have been watching have enjoyed the show. I hope you have been interacting in Twitch. I hope you've had fun there. And thanks so much for tuning in. Please come back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, and you will see Session 2. We will have a slightly reduced cast, but we will also have a guest star joining us. So keep an eye out on Twitter for more information on that. I'm Lex. You know what? I'll save myself for last. Let's go around and talk about some of my amazing players who really knocked it out of the park this session. So who do I want to start with? Let's start with Cole.
Hi, I'm Cole Burkhart. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him. You can find me on Twitter at King Coal Miner. You can also find the audio drama that I'm now casting for at Null and Void Pod on Twitter. It is a science fiction audio drama. We need a whole bunch of people to make this dream happen. So please go and check that out. You can also go check out the podcasting network that I am a producer and co-creator of at POC Podcasting on Twitter.
Nice. Very cool. Josh.
I'm Josh Reisted. I'm a host on Detentions of Dragons, a podcast geared toward getting Dungeons and Dragons into the classroom. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and most podcatchers. You can also send me a message at Professor Olaf on Twitter, or check out our official Twitter handle, Detentions Pods.
Very cool. All right, Taylor.
Hi, I am Taylor, he, him, and I am on Twitter at Taylor_CS. Sometimes I even remember to retweet relevant tweets to my at Whimsy Machine official Twitter because I make games as Whimsy Machine, such as Spell the RPG, a role-playing game that uses letter tiles where you cast magic by rearranging the letters into the words you want to cast.
Cool.
And you can find that at whimsymachine.media/store.
Nice. Very cool. And I am Lex. I do content on the internet. I do all sorts of things. I have an actual play fantasy comedy TV show called Dank Dungeons. That's on YouTube. You can check that out. I publish stuff on the DM's Guild, such as Joy of Monster Cooking. It's really basically just that. I've done like 2 other things, but I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna stick with it. And also I do streams like this every once in a while on various cool places. You can check out links for all that stuff if you go over to my Twitter at Dank Dungeons. The pinned tweet is a link dump of all those things. And yeah, if you want to buy official merchandise for the summer game, Secrets of the Scorpion Crown, a poster and a t-shirt are available on my Teespring. Again, that link is in the pinned tweet. And coming in the next, I want to say couple of weeks, there will be a t-shirt and a poster for this campaign as well, if that interests you. Listen, I just need to make money any way I can. I just want an eBay auction to buy Commodore 64 games. How am I going to pay for it? I don't know. I need to sell as much as I can right now. Anyway, again, thank you so much for everyone who watched. If you are interested in other stuff the Greyhawk channel has to offer, go over to their Twitter, which is I think their handle is just the Greyhawk channel. I should really know that because it's at Greyhawk channel. And you can see the schedule for the fall season. There's all sorts of really cool games and also some really cool systems being used that are going on. So yeah, give it a check. Support some of the other people who are running games on the channel. And yeah, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.